Glad you're tuned in tonight, wherever you may be listening. This is our second show of the new year here on Fast Talk. By the way, we'll be headed down to the Volusia Mall again this year on the week before the Daytona 500 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the mall. We'll have some great shows there. Some of the guests that are penciled in to be there include Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Danica Patrick, Jeff Gordon, and some others. Now, all of that's subject to change, but that's the big mall right across from the Speedway there on International Speedway Boulevard in Daytona. So certainly hope to see you down there. And if you can't make it, we'll stream them online, and a bunch of radio stations will be carrying them. Steve Letart's good enough to join Kyle Petty and myself tonight. Steve, a lot of focus on the Daytona testing. 3 days of speed, and Kyle and his buddies from Speed had to cover 6 cars for the last day there, so that was kind of rough. But in some ways, isn't the test coming up here at Charlotte Thursday and Friday even more important because a third of the schedule is 1.5 mile racetracks?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, this Charlotte test is going to be huge to get the year started off. You know, it is. There's a lot of 1.5 miles to run the schedule, but I mean, really, this is the big one to get the year started. This one, Vegas is looming. We do have a test day at Vegas, so it's not the end-all, be-all. It's just we were able to go there in December, but it wasn't a full field of cars. This is really the first test at an open track that I feel there'll be, majority of the race teams there. There'll probably be 35 or 40 cars there. And I think it'll give you a good idea of where you stack up, what you have to work on, and it really will project the next 4 or 5 weeks. We still have quite a few weeks until Daytona. And, Nashville's available. There are other tracks available, and there's always tools to use. So it really depends on now what do you have to work on. Do you feel good about your Charlotte stuff? Do you feel good to go to the downforce tracks? Or, do you need to work on your speedway stuff? It's really a lot of decisions will be made after that Charlotte test on what you need to do next to prepare for the season.
When you talking about the Charlotte test and the mile and a half, 2 mile racetracks, and obviously this is a totally different aero package. And y'all ran the first test over there, right?
Yeah, we were there in December.
Yeah, and so being there in December, was mechanically, I know they changed the camber in the rear end, they gave you guys some things changed mechanically. How much different was the chassis and the chassis work compared to what you did last year or in the past?
Well, there's been a lot of rule changes as well that not really been swept under the carpet. They're just not as high a priority as the body change. The rear suspension rules have changed quite a bit. How the cars are going to be aligned next year as far as the skew and the wheelbase and the tread width, those rules and regulations have all been tweaked. Rear sway bars, anti-roll bars have been eliminated from competition. So, chassis setup-wise, there's a lot of opportunity for change. And we look at it just as that. It's opportunity. While it eliminates most of our notebooks from next year, what it does is give everybody the opportunity to kind of start fresh. And at Hendrick Motorsports, we feel we have a great foundation of engineering, and when there's change, we feel we can adapt very quickly. So it was important to get on track last month. Unfortunately, it was about 35 degrees, so everything worked. I know you've been a part of those tests where everything worked. Yeah, the car has tons of grip. But it'll be interesting to see when we go back. I'm glad we went in December because we weren't as prepared as we thought we were. And it opened our eyes to some avenues we needed to go down, and we're going to hopefully go back and prove ourselves a little bit smarter than we were in December.
And just another question on the chassis side. We go back to Daytona, and I want to go back to Daytona real quick. We heard guys talk about, that these cars were a little bit freer, small spoilers. Obviously, again, a totally different aero package. But when we go to the restrictor plate racetracks, you're locked in a little bit tighter and what you can do chassis-wise. With the rear springs, there's a rear spring rule, shock rule. You get into some of that stuff. Is it harder to adjust the car for the driver when he says, I'm free getting in or I'm free getting off? How do you approach that side of it?
Well, there's two things that make the Speedway so difficult. The first, as you alluded to, is the rules are so locked in the back. The rear spring rate is set. You only have an option of a right rear spring going up a little bit. Your truck arm length is set. Your shocks are set. There's so many things that are locked in for you. The other major issue is it's very hard to duplicate race conditions. At Charlotte, you can go run by yourself, and a majority of the race you run by yourself. But at Daytona, you run in those packs, those big packs, those 30, 40-car packs. And the speed you carry into the corner and the air around your car makes it handle so different that practice at Daytona is about impossible to get a good read. And that's why we're very, very proud that we sat on a pole last year. That'll put us in the Bud Shootout there. Well, I guess it's the sprint race this year. And it'll be, a great opportunity to see what you really have. And with this new car and this new body, this Gen 6 car, being in those extra races, any bit of track time you can get is really going to be vital. Because like you said, it's hard. It's really hard to work on your car at Daytona. And it takes you a little bit of time because it's a little outside your normal realm, so get it tuned in.
By the way, Steve, Kyle is trying to decide what generation car he raced.
I told you I started. See, I thought that I said earlier to Matt, I thought the Gen 6 was the sixth iteration or the sixth generation of the COT. Little did I know that Gen 1 was the 1948-49 cars that they run. So if you go off that assumption, I drove 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's how old I am.
Yeah, so there you go. See, you were all modern era.
Yeah,
so you're all modern era.
I appreciate that.
Does that make you feel better, Kyle?
Yeah, you're all modern era, but yeah, I think I must be getting pretty old as well then, because I think I've worked on from about 3 to 6, maybe 2 to 6. I'd have to line them all up and count them.
Yes. Yes.
We were talking with Matt Kinson a little bit earlier, Steve. Is this car in any way more mechanical, or is it still as dependent on engineering and aero as Gen 5?
Well, I think there's nothing that's not going to be dependent on aerodynamics and engineering, and that's just fact. I'd like to tell you there's this magical car, but, cyclists are in the wind tunnel. Speedboats are in the wind tunnel. Everything that moves is in the wind tunnel, and that's not a change of, this physics. It's just a change of technology. It's a box that we've opened. We can't unlearn things, and if there's an advantage in aerodynamics, we're going to exploit them. My job is I get paid to win races, so I'm going to exploit every avenue I can for an advantage, and aerodynamics is something that's really opened the door for a lot of race cars. And so, is it as aero dependent? I think if you're traveling 200 miles an hour, it's hard not to be dependent on aerodynamics. Do I feel that the cars are an improvement over last year? Without a doubt. Just the look alone of the cars are spectacular. The different branding between the three makes, I think, is a great step in the right direction. So, will we have more racing? I thought our racing last year was spectacular. I thought we had some great side-by-side racing. We had some great finishes. We had a great points battle. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I do believe when we go to Daytona, we got to mentally wash our brains of what we've seen the last 5 years, because I think we're going to go back to, 7 or 8 years ago, where you're going to see runs happen, be able to work by yourself a little bit, not need a tandem partner. And, I really think that plays in our favor. We're excited to get down there.
I can sense that in your voice. There's a level of anticipation this year that we have not experienced in the sport for a while, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that this new car has people excited and ready to get going. So, Steve, thanks for your time, and I meant what I said earlier. You are extremely media and fan-friendly, and we appreciate you carving out some time, and I know I speak for a lot of folks. Hope you have an awesome 2013. You guys broke through last year, got a W, led the points sum in last season, and barring a concussion, who knows what could have happened. So the sky's the limit, I'm assuming, for 2013.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. The test went well, and we're excited to get to Charlotte, excited to kind of get 2013 off to the races. So we hope all the fans come out down to Daytona. The test was great. Hopefully they'll buy up all the tickets and come check it out. I think the 500 and really all the speed weeks, man, I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a fun February. So thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. I would say I would see you at testing, but I'm in wedding mode prep, so forget that.
Good luck.
I'm not going to be there. All right. Thanks a lot. Steve Letarte, crew chief on the 88. Kyle, we're going to cut you loose. I know you're busy tonight. Appreciate you.